Ow.
Yeah. They all resigned too.
Yeah, well, they should have.
Good.
Okay, Ms. Moody, everyone on?
Let me check here.
What'd you say?
I believe we have everyone. Do we have
What about Dunn?
Alderman Dunn? Do we have Alderman Dunn?
Here, I'm here.
Okay, perfect.
She's on here. Hi, Robin.
Hey.
Okay, let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. It's the regular meeting of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. It's Monday, February the 22nd, 2021. And due to the COVID-19 emergency, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen will be conducting its essential business by electronic means rather than required together in a quorum of the members physically present in the same location, because it is necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of Tennesseans. So this meeting complies with the Governor's Executive Order number 71. Call the roll.
Yes. Mayor Noes.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Blanks.
Present.
Alderperson Allmacher.
Here.
Alderperson Berry.
Here.
Alderperson Blackwell.
Here.
Alderperson Dunn.
Here.
Alderperson McGee.
Here.
Thank you. And that's 7 present.
With the invocation this evening, we have Reverend Jim Norman with us. Reverend Norman, you have the floor. Everyone, please stand for the invocation and continue for the pledge.
Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Heavenly Father, we just want to thank you on behalf of all those who are gathered here today. We thank you for the many abundant blessings that you've given to us. Thank you for life itself. We thank you for the measure of health that we need to fulfill our callings, for sustenance, for friendship. We thank you for the ability to be involved in such a useful work and for the honor of bearing the appropriate responsibilities. We thank you, Lord, as well for the freedoms that you've given us and for loving us in your grace and your mercy, even when we haven't loved you as we should. In the scriptures, you've said that we as citizens ought to obey the governing authorities, since you've established those very authorities to promote peace and order and justice. And so we want to uplift to you in prayer this afternoon our mayor, these aldermen, our various city officials who are gathered here, and we're asking that you would graciously grant them the wisdom to govern amidst the interests and issues of our times, to give them a sense of the welfare and true needs of our people, to have a thirst and for justice and righteousness, to have a confidence, Lord, for what is good and fitting, and the ability to work together in harmony, even when there is honest disagreement. We pray for personal peace in their lives and their families, and a joy in the tasks that they have before them. We pray, Lord, for this agenda set before them today. And we pray for your continued protection over our community in these times, for your provisions for those who are in need and hurting. And we pray for your continued protection and blessings on our healthcare workers, on our first responders. We pray for your grace and your mercy, that it would follow us all the days of your life. May you have mercy upon us and always be our helper. Help us, O Lord, to do what is right. Help us to love mercy. Help us, Lord, to walk humbly before you and with you. And we look forward to the blessings you have in store for us in the days ahead. We pray for your blessings on the citizens of the city of Tullahoma. And we pray for all these things in the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. Let's say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Reverend Norman. At this time, we have any commendations and certificates this morning, this evening, Ms. Moody?
We have none.
Let's move on down to comments from citizens. And before we enter into comments from the citizens, I would like to remind you that I need to ask that any comments from the citizens either be related to an agenda item or related to a specific city service that can be addressed by the city or by the board. I want to remind you that comments that are directed personally to a board member will simply not be accepted. So with that, are there any comments from the citizens?
Yes, Mayor. First, let me correct and apologize. Last meeting, I had received an email in time to be read that just by my own mistake, I didn't see it until after the board meeting. And so it was a message from Miss Kimberly Harris. She asked that her address not be shared publicly, but I have provided a copy of her statement to all of you by email. And then Miss Golden also included it with the minutes for the meeting. So it is officially on record. And I just wanted to acknowledge that we received that. For tonight's meeting, I have an email from Mr. Brian Hayes. He and his wife Christy live at 2106 Avoca Road, and they are writing tonight in support of the city of Tullahoma purchasing the 2.3 acres Y property from Mr. Howard located between Riley Creek and Avoca Road. Their property is located across the street, and he wanted to say that all of the stormwater from the farm on Riley Creek, this 2-acre property, a portion of homes in Emerald Meadows, and a portion of homes in the Flint Rock subdivision converge and flow from this 2 acres through a culvert onto their property's front ditch. He's given a PowerPoint presentation at a planning commissioners meeting back in August that details the increase of the amount of flooding from the stormwater flow across the street over a several-year period. With each new subdivision development, the amount of water flowing under and many times over Avoca Road increases. He says, if I'm interpreting Mr. St. John's data correctly that he provided in a PowerPoint presentation, it appears the stormwater flow rate has increased with each new development and the stormwater has not been properly managed. Not only is it a road hazard to motorists, but we've had to invest a large amount of money in stormwater drainage mitigation to help protect our home from the flooding. We have high hopes that if the city of Tullahoma votes to purchase this property, that there would be proper stormwater mitigation put in place on this land to control the existing stormwater flow into our property and subdivision and to help prevent area flooding. This purchase will also allow the city to address serious traffic safety concerns at the Y intersection that has and continues to plague the citizens in this area. Thank you for listening to our concerns.
Thank you. Others?
Thank you.
Let me acknowledge that I also received 3 emails in support of the acquisition of that property. One was from a planning commission member, one was from a neighbor living on Avoca Road, and one was from the chairman of the HOA for the subdivision there. So that seems to be a lot of support for that. Okay, if there are no other comments, we'll have the reports from the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, and we'll start with you, Mr. Blanks. Alderman Blanks. Alderman Blanks, we'll have your report first.
Are you ready? Good to see everybody tonight. Hopefully in the near future, we can all get together and meet at uptown. I don't have anything super specific going on. I did have a Duck River meeting last week right before the snow hit. Randall assured us that there had been some publicity about a water system down, I think in Florida, that had been cyber attacked. Randall assured us that we do not have any of our water system hooked up to internet to where it could be affected, so he wanted to assure all the citizens where that he provides water to, or DRUC does, that there's no way that they could hack into our system and do any damage. So other than that, we all had a nice Valentine's, hopefully a week and a half ago, and everybody got something from their sweetheart, hopefully. if y'all, listen to me at the last meeting, especially the ones that are here on the board, maybe took care of what they were supposed to. Also like to give out kudos to the linemen with TUA for getting everybody's power up. I think we were down here, particularly at my house, for a couple of occasions, but not for that long. The snow is pretty, but I'm ready for spring along with everybody else, I guess. I don't think we'd have this much of a significant precipitation event that knocked out power in quite a few years. So if you see a lineman or a TUA employee, thank them for what they did to get everybody back to have heat and electricity. Only other thing I have is please try to shop Tullahoma, shop locally if you can. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Blanks. I'll just go across my screen and Alderman Berry, I think you're next.
Thank you, Mayor. Since we last met, I attended the fourth and final evening of the Elected Officials Academy. That was awesome. And I believe there's a level 2 that I'd love to get more information on. I feel like that should be required. There's a lot of great information there. Also, since we last met, I sit on the Consolidated Communications Board. You may or may not have read about that in the paper. I encourage I'm going to prepare kind of a statement, I think, for the board. I don't know the proper way, and send that to Administrator Moody as kind of an overall update of that entire situation, just so that the board is fully aware of and not just seeing stuff from the paper in those items. But we've terminated the 911 director in the last meeting. We're beginning the hiring process. We have an interim director right now. I am serving on the hiring committee along with Chief Williams, Commissioner DeFord, Scott, I forget the other name of the other folks, but we'll be kind of releasing a process and how that'll be handled. But I'll write up kind of a full report to give to Administrator Moody that we can distribute as needed with some details behind that. Also, since we last met, I've been reaching out on the Get Fit Tullahoma, been reaching out to people who were involved in the past to kind of get some background information on that, to see who was involved and where things were kind of left with that. Thank you to Lyle at Parks and Rec and Administrator Moody for getting me information that I needed there on that. I'm really excited about this. And I think some awesome things are going to happen with that. Since we last met, I went out, it's kind of fitting. I went out the Avoca Lane area to take a look at some of the issues some of them have been having with water. And I'm going to send out some photos and kind of write up some of the issues down there. Last week I met with a couple residents who are going to help me with this Know Thy Neighbor. And as soon as things kind of warm up, we'll be going neighborhood to neighborhood to reach out and visit people where they live, to kind of tour each of these little areas. And also touching on Shop Local, I think I read in the paper 53% of everyone employed in our micropolitan area are employed by our small businesses. That's huge. So our small businesses are the backbone of our local economy. So it is important to shop local when and where you can support these small businesses. And lastly, a shout out to to the linemen, to TUA, to the water, to our police, to everyone who had to be out on the roads the past week. Things could have been worse. Things could have been bad. And so I thank you to everyone who was out there so that we could stay safe. That's it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah. Alderman Amacher.
Okay, am I unmuted? Since we last met, I had a tree board meeting that got rescheduled, and we are actually going to have an in-person meeting this Wednesday in the boardroom upstairs at City Hall at 5:15. Unfortunately, I had a prior obligation when they rescheduled that, and I will not be able to attend that. But there's lots of great folks on that board, and I'm sure that they'll give me the updates. I'll be able to report back next month. Tourism Council, we have not met since we had our last meeting here, but I did have the SCTA that I'm serving on, which is the South Central Tennessee Tourism Committee in the Discover Tennessee initiative. And a couple of things that they're working on right now is they're looking at getting a pretty substantial grant. And one of the questions that came out, which was pretty interesting, was about how Tullahoma's airport really increases the economic impact and tourism into Tullahoma. And I was happy to report back to that committee and exactly how our airport achieves a lot of those goals that they're looking to achieve. And that all of our regional airports really are a great benefit that not every rural municipality has the privilege of having. And so I will be reaching out to Mr. Mayor and also the chairman of that board of the Tullahoma Airport Authority to hopefully sign some letters of support in order to get that tourism grant and get us some more dollars down here in Tullahoma. For my small business shout out this week, I found myself in need of a refrigerator, and I went over to the Appliance Barn, which is also right down the road from Walton's. I checked out both, and the Appliance Barn is owned by Daniel and Kim Logan. Their phone number is 563-7777. They're located on 207 North Anderson Street. And they had some really nice refrigerators that were very gently used, some of them even 2019 models. So I believe they have washer and dryers and all sorts of different things. And they also do home visits and can come and fix and repair your appliances. So reach out to the Appliance Farm. They are a local small business that would love to have your business. Let's see, anything else? I think that covers it all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Amacher. Alderman McGee.
Let me get unmuted. First, I want to apologize to Girl Scout Troop 2163. Last meeting, I reported that I bought some Girl Scout cookies, but I couldn't think of their troop number. So I want to give a shout out to Troop 2163. The cookies did not last long at all. They were gone pretty quickly. Also, I would like to give kudos to the linemen and TUA, city employees and first responders during our bad weather. They worked around the clock, keeping us safe. So kudos to them. Last week, I joined a Zoom call meeting with the We Care Committee. And on that call were two doctors from Vanderbilt, Dr. Wanjala and Dr. Wilkins, and they were talking about the vaccine and how people of color, they answered questions because there seems to be very few people of color wanting to get the vaccine. So it was very informative. I did speak to the manager at the mall, Leanne Parks, regarding a pop-up shop there. And so I will be talking to Alderman Dunn and Winston Brooks so we can further collaborate on that. The Housing Authority meeting will be this Thursday night at 5 o'clock. After last meeting, I was just moved by the comments of Mr. Nicholas Conley, which is one of the owners of 122 West. So I went up there to meet him on Tuesday. I just had to meet him in person to just encourage him and just to commend him for his efforts. People who are in recovery, they, unless you walked in those shoes or walked with a family member in those shoes, you don't know the daily struggles that they have. So I just wanted to go up there and meet him because I was just moved by his comments. Also, I am in the process of planning an Easter egg hunt for the community, for the city. It won't be in conflict with the annual Easter egg hunt that is sponsored by Glick & Woods Dentistry. I am talking with Jennifer about the logistics, and hopefully by next meeting, I'll have a location in place. Also, I want to congratulate Hampton Creek for being the business of the week. And I think that might be it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman McGee. Alderman Dunn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've got some people running through, so hopefully they're not too loud while they come through. I want to talk, I want to definitely hit on what Alderman McGee mentioned with the We Care Committee. It was a very informative meeting. I was glad to be a part of it as well. And if anyone's wanting more information about that meeting, it should be posted on LightTube fairly soon. I've not heard back from them, but I did send them a recording of our Zoom meeting. So if you wanted to see it yourself, there were some very good questions that were asked. And they certainly answered a lot of my questions for sure. And also there will be some printed material available as well. And I'm sure Alderman Blackwell is going to speak about an event where that will be available also. So just be, if you're interested in that printed material or in seeing that, you can contact me. I'm happy to help out with that. A couple of other things we've got with the Go Green Committee. We have contacted a woman who is looking at our carbon footprint for Tullahoma, just trying to get sort of a baseline to just figure out where we are as far as emissions and where we could improve. And I think really just the direction that it seems like the EPA has been going, there's grant money out there. And so we definitely want to be part of, being able to show signs that we've already made this a part of our mission in Tullahoma, that we're going to go green. It's going to be a lot easier for us to get that funding down the road rather than just being the latest person to jump on a bandwagon. So we're just looking at different ways that we might be able to cut costs and of course cut emissions to make a healthier place to breathe and grow in Tullahoma. Also, I know we've talked a lot. It seems like stormwater is on a lot of people's minds this week. And I'm really glad to hear that, because I know that I have definitely been playing this song for a while. It's certainly a deep concern for me. And what's happening at Avoca Road is something that is unfortunately been occurring in several communities around Tullahoma, especially in our older homes. So in some of our more central locations in town, and a lot of these houses, if they're 100 years old, you're seeing that people are renting those. So maybe they haven't been. It's very difficult to see where some of our ditches are in Tullahoma. So where we used to have a stormwater program that was open ditches, a lot of those have been filled in. So there's a lot of things that need to be addressed in Tullahoma as far as our infrastructure and our stormwater. And I'm certainly a big believer that Tullahoma, the city, we need to be the leaders in this. Of course, I want to invite our homeowners to be a part as well. And I feel like a lot of this has been, the lion's share of this responsibility has been put on our builders, but we need to be, the city, we need to be stepping up. And so I would like to propose that we have a study session with Jim Patterson, who is our environmental engineer, so he can talk to us more about this. I know this is something that is more of a concern recently, but it's been a concern, and I'm glad more people are being cognizant of it. This situation is not going to get better by itself, and we definitely need to be proactive in it. So I just want to make sure I'm doing this right. Do I need to propose this in like a more formal way, or just?
Robin, if you want to submit something to me suggesting that, we'll see what we can do.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. The other thing is there are a couple of ways that our citizens can be more proactive, and a couple of those are rain barrels. So I definitely, and I talked to Jim about this. I asked, what if every person in Tullahoma who recycles were to have a rain barrel, would we see a difference in our stormwater program? And he said unequivocally, yes. We have about 10,000 households who do recycle, or sorry, about 3,000 households that recycle. If 3,000 households had rain barrels, we would see a difference. We wouldn't see as much flooding on Avoca Road. And that's one way we can make a difference. We are having our rain barrel giveaway April 19th. Please mark your calendars. We're going to be at the farmers market. So I hope to see you all there. That's all, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alderman Dunn. Alderman Blackwell.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Since our last meeting, we had a planning commission meeting, which was a fascinating one. It was the first time I've ever sat through us discussing an annexation. So we did I think we are sending a resolution to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen that we're giving a favorable recommendation for. And then I'm excited to see that. It was an interesting process to hear. And we also, I'm excited that we're having this discussion tonight about that Y at Avoca Road. I know that's something that the Planning Commission has been hearing about for the past 2 years that I've been on it. So I'm glad that we're going to be having this conversation today. The school board meeting last week was rescheduled to this week. And honestly, because of the snow, all of my conversations I was supposed to have last week with the school system about relationship violence and healthy relationships have been postponed and are being rescheduled till March and through this weekend. It's been crazy, lots of emails of rescheduling. I had my queso and conversations at Camino Real, and I wanted to thank the people who came to that, as well as Camino Real for bearing with me with my children. Also, like many people have echoed here, thank you to TUA and also to our Public Works Department and Police Department and Fire Department for keeping all of us safe during this past week. I know Public Works has already come by and picked up a lot of the tree shrapnel, for lack of a better word, that is lying around in my front yard that I moved to the road. So just thank you. I know that, there's a lot of work that goes into, keeping our city safe and also cleaning up after such a big storm. So shout out to them, and also to all of our citizens who are going out there and cleaning up their yards and moving it to them so that we can get to work on them. So big thank you to that. The Elected Officials Academy, I'd like to echo what Alderman Berry said. It was a fantastic past 4 weeks of meetings. One of the things that stuck out the most to me was the importance of strategic planning in it, and the importance of our team, our board working together as a team to do that and to come up with a plan. I'm hoping, I know that that's not within our budget for this year, but I hope that sometime in the next year or so we can start discussing whether or not we would want to move forward with a board retreat to do something similar like that. I think it would be fantastic for us to be able to know what we're looking for in the future, which kind of comes, and the reason why that came and stuck out to me so much, very similar to what Alderman Dunn was speaking about stormwater, how this has been on the forefront of something she's been working with for a few years, and how it's coming to us right now as we're going to be discussing this Avoca Road, how, a lot of the times we talk about compliance versus best practices. We might be compliant or trying to get into compliance with stuff, but is that where we want to be, or do we want to be setting the bar? So that's kind of why strategic planning I think is important to me, and I'd like to see us do more with that. Alderman Dunn also referred to an event I'm trying to put together. It's not really an event because it's more of a forum. I'm trying to work with the Community Council for Diversity and Inclusion, as well as with Vanderbilt's Equity Office, to bring people to come down to talk about the COVID vaccine and the racial and ethnic disparities within those who are getting the vaccine, and to have almost like a open panel forum discussion around it. So thank you to all of you who have given me emails of people to contact and help me, figure out spacing, etc. So shout out to all of you, Parks and Rec, and to Jennifer Moody and Cernovia and Robin Dunn. So thank you very much for that. I'm hoping that we can get that together soon. Also, the Tullahoma Daycare Center board meeting I had recently, and just good things happening with our nonprofits. So I was just excited to say that that's moving forward as well, as always. And that's, I think, it. I'm hoping to be able to give you guys more information after I go into the school system this next couple of weeks to actually talk to these students. And it's going to be, I haven't been in the schools at all this year because of COVID. I'm just so excited to get back in there. So yes.
Thank you, Alderman Blackwell. As for the mayor, it's been a fairly slow 2 weeks, but I did attend the airport board meeting last Tuesday night. And then of course, there's Alderman Dunn, Alderman Blackwell indicated the planning commission. And those are the big ticket items that are going on in the city. I want to refer back to last board meeting. I want to refer back to comments from the citizens at last board meeting and tell you that I owed Alderman Amacher an apology because I did not give her a chance to respond when her name was mentioned. I have had the opportunity to discuss that with Alderman Amacher personally, but I wanted to make that public apology to the board because it's my intent to not let individuals come to our board meeting and simply attack elected officials. If my comments earlier about citizens' comments need to be reflected to items on the agenda or to things that our board can address. But I wanted to do that, say that publicly about not acknowledging Alderman Amacher. We've had that discussion. I think it went well. Thank you for the opportunity to do that, Alderman Amacher. At this time, we would like to hear from our city attorney, Mr.
Thank you, Mr.
Moore.
Mayor. Here I am. I'd like to comment first of all about the Go Green initiative that Alderman Dunn is so passionate about, and tell her that, remind her again that on 5:15 on Wednesday evening here at the boardroom, the tree board is going to be meeting. One of the things that we're going to be discussing is increasing the canopy in Tullahoma. As we all know, trees provide a lot of oxygen in our atmosphere, and I think that what the tree board is doing can go hand in glove with the initiative that the Go Green Committee is looking forward to. So let's work together on that. I'd like to invite you, Alderman Dunn, to the meeting if you'd like to come. Secondly, in relationship to the annexation matter that Ms. Blackwell mentioned, I'm working with Ms. Moody and with the county attorney relative to that issue. We have to enter into an interlocal agreement with the county relative to services that will be provided by the city and by the county in and near the area to be annexed, and we're working on that, and it's moving forward. There's about a 15-acre tract on the Avoca Lake Road area that will be annexed, hopefully. This week, I will be filing the delinquent tax cases for the 2019 taxes that have not been paid. So everybody's got about 2 or 3 more days before I'll be filing the suits, and thereafter considerable additional penalty and cost will be attached to the taxes that they will owe. I'm working with the Planning and Codes Department on various matters with Tony Mercado and Mary Samaniego, and those are all ongoing. We have a mediation. We're in the process of establishing a mediation date in the Brindley matter. That's the suit brought in relationship to the animal shelter and the substandard work that's performed down there by the contractor. I don't have anything else. Do y'all have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Worson.
Okay.
Before I turn it over to our city attorney, let me back up, because if I don't tell you this, Jennifer's going to have to do it, and let me do it. Tonight, I want to remind you that on TV, I believe the name of the program is American Pickers, the couches in Tullahoma will be featured on American Pickers. And that, I believe, comes on at 8 o'clock tonight. I hope we're home in time to watch it. All of you guys are home, I'm not. But anyway, be tuned in for that tonight. It should be some interesting memorabilia about Tullahoma on that. So with that, I turn it over to our city administrator, Ms. Moody.
Thank you. Like many of you have already said, I just wanted to be sure to thank our employees, especially Public Works and the fire department and police department, who worked very well together. I believe in the event cleared close to 30 trees out of the roadway together, help support TUA and their activities. And at the start of the storm, we had a full salt bin barn, and we went through approximately half of our salt, which is about 125 to 150 tons of salt. So they certainly maybe are underappreciated most of the time, but certainly when it matters the most, they rose to the occasion. And TUA as well, I can't say enough of appreciation for living within the city limits, because many of our residents, I don't think, had to wait more than a few hours for their power to be turned back on, after a tree or an event. And we were hearing, unfortunately, outside in some areas of the county, we had to set up a shelter because people were without power for much, much longer. So we very much appreciate and applaud them. And then last, just want to thank our citizens and just ask for their continued patience. We'll probably be picking up brush from this storm event for the next couple months. A lot of very large trees fell, especially on the west side of town. So just keep putting it out at the road and be patient with us. We will get to all of it. Also, I wanted to share some good news with you all. The state legislature is in session, of course, and we're watching bills closely to see how they may impact the city. Governor Lee has proposed another $200 million in non-recurring state funds for local governments. And so you'll remember last year we received about $457,000 in the form of a one-time grant that we could use towards some capital projects. We are anticipating that should his budget be approved again, we'll have another $457,000 to put towards one-time capital projects in this next budget. So I'll keep you up to date on that. And then also, of course, you'll see tonight that we'll be setting an election date for August, but I am working closely, the mayor and I, with Representative Bricken to follow our private act amendment to our charter. And there is also potential for some other bills that could help us in terms of consolidating elections. So we're watching those. Last, I just wanted to update tonight in your agenda packet, you had our department reports, and I misspoke regarding one of our, somebody I was trying to congratulate, our Sheila Rico, our aquatics coordinator in our parks department. I credited her with getting her certified Parks and Recreation professional certification, and actually she received the next tier higher than that. It's the certified Parks and Recreation executive certification. Also interesting, there are only 4 people in the state of Tennessee with that certification, and one of them is our director, Kurt Glick, and now Sheila Rico. So we are half of the people in the state. So we just want to congratulate her for that, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, with that, we'll go to the consent agenda. And I will remind you that all matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine, and they'll be enacted by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member or a citizen so requests, in which case that item will be removed from the consent agenda and be considered separately. During the portion of the meeting reserved for comments from citizens as shown on the agenda, citizens may request that the board remove an item for the consent agenda so that that discussion can be held later on in the meeting. I'll read the captions for the consent agenda, and you have details on them on the respective pages associated with the agenda. First is number 2121 is the minutes from the February 8th meeting. 2122 is to accept a grant award in the amount of $4,000, don't get excited, Robin, $4,752 from the TVA Natural Resources Community Outreach and Support Program to support the city's Tullahoma's Go Green Committee's activities. Item number 2123 is to approve a one-year renewal of a municipal advisor agreement with Stevens Inc. 2124, acknowledge an annual review of the city of Tullahoma's debt policy in compliance with the state comptroller's office and instructions. And number 2125 is to set the date for Thursday, August 25th, 2021 for Tullahoma's city elections. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Alderman Blanks and seconded by Alderman Blackwell. All in favor? You may take the roll, Alderman, City.
May I speak to that for just a second, Mayor? I just wanted to let everyone know that $4,752 was not a matched grant. That was 100% through TVA. So big thank you to TVA for that. And then when I was mentioning earlier the rain barrels, part of that grant is going towards that rain barrel giveaway. So just so everybody knows what that's about, but thank you.
Well done. Did that make your heart flutter when I said 4 million instead of 4,000?
That would have been amazing.
City Carter, would you please call the roll?
Yes, we're voting on the consent agenda. Mayor Noes, yes or no? Mayor Pro Tem Blanks?
Yes.
Alderperson Amacher?
Yes.
Alderperson Berry?
Yes.
Alderperson Blackwell?
Yes.
Alderperson Dunn?
Yes.
Alderperson McGee?
Yes.
That's 7 yeses. Thank you.
I'll just say while we're waiting for Mayor Noes for his video to come back, if we should get good news from the legislature, we will simply remove the alderman seats from the ballot. But we did have to establish the election date by the end of this month, and we'll just proceed as if there will be a regular election until we know otherwise.
I'm going to go peek on them.
Jennifer, as to what you were saying, since we're going ahead and approving this election date, I was just curious on part of Ms. McGee and Mr. Blanks, if they would need to go ahead and get with the election commission and get their, when does that open up at the election commission for them to be able to get their signatures?
Very soon, actually. So I have to let the election commission know that we've set a date by the end of this month. And then petitions, you can begin to pick up petitions as a candidate, I believe March 10th, March 9th or 10th. And then they have until maybe May 10th to submit those. So what I had hoped is they probably will have to just act as if there will be an election until the point if we learn that we're able to pass our charter amendment. And
if that does not happen before May the 10th and other individuals pick up petitions to run, what will that mean for the election?
Yeah, here, I just found my memo, sorry.
Okay.
It's the beginning date of qualifying petitions will be March 19th, 2021. What is supposed to be on the ballot are 2 school board member seats and our 2 alderman seats. I am hopeful that we'll have our private act charter amendment passed, signed by the governor back to this board. The board will have to pass it by at least a supermajority, a 2/3 majority for it to become effective. And then what it'll mean is that, like we had planned, that these 2 seats and some others will be extended by 1 year so that they can align with that even year election cycle. And I would suppose that with the seats just being removed off the ballot, that affects anyone that would have picked up a petition. There just will not be an election. I think that, and then in 2022, I'd imagine they would have to file and seek a new petition at that time. And maybe good also to have our election commissioner attend an upcoming meeting when we vote on this and let him answer any questions that you may have.
So we will be able to vote on that. We won't have to wait until July 1st for that, technically that change to become effective. That's what I was.
Oh, July 1st? No, I don't think so. I think as soon as we have the language back from the legislature and it passes our board, I think it becomes effective. Yeah. It sounds like I'm getting some text and we may have a power outage or something that's affecting our broadcast. So it wouldn't affect the mayor. The mayor and I are both at City Hall. But Keyhead that's broadcasting our meeting has said that the video's frozen on the broadcast itself. So he's working to restart it. We're also recording this, so we'll have a way for him to post this later. But for some reason, the live broadcast has been interrupted.
Would the mayor pro tem step in at this point? If we lost the mayor?
I can if you want me to.
I don't know protocol, Jennifer.
But if the mayor's there, can he just come to your office?
Let me step away for a minute and see what's happening. I'll be right back.
Zenobia, let me know how I can help with your Easter egg hunt. I would love to take part in that.
I sure will. Thank you. The more, the merrier.
And I'm going to connect you with city schools.
Yes. That'll be great because I can get the flyers to go out to each of the schools. Thank you.
And we'll be there with our crazy Easter baskets.
Yay. I do have a spot in mind, but I've got to email a couple of other people to make sure that will be okay. But it's the perfect place. Perfect.
If the weather is cool and there's a bunny suit big enough.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
The problem is finding a tent-sized bunny suit.
I'll start looking now.
Oh,
Yes, let's do it.
Make it.
Yeah,
we
can get someone to make it. That's awesome. Thank y'all.
I have this white fuzzy blanket we could use.
You know how sometimes you make an offer because you know that there's not going to be a way to find, in this case, a suit big enough. But you guys will find a way.
We'll be able
find
to.
a way.
We'll find it.
We can make this happen.
So Mayor Noes is with us by phone now.
He's muted.
Oh, no.
Oh, we got it.
Good.
Now, how's everyone doing tonight?
We're good.
We're doing well.
Well, I am too.
Good.
We're down to new business.
Yes.
Under new business, we have item number 2126. To approve a project budget for the development of new city website. An estimated amount of $40,000 and authorize the mayor to sign a contract with project and the annual maintenance with Civic Plus. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Second. Oh,
Have a motion by Blanks, seconded by Blackwell. Any discussion?
Mayor, I
This-
believe we got an amendment to that earlier in email. That upped it to 40.
Yes. So if I could speak to that, I emailed out a copy. I referenced it in my agenda memo that I'll be sending you a revised contract. I found out late last week that our Tullahoma Area Economic Development Corporation would like to join us on the new website. And so instead of Think Tullahoma being a completely separate website from the city, we'll likely keep that URL. And instead, Think Tullahoma will point to pages within our city website. And so everything will be on one platform that will be able to easily manage content and that will all be, compliant, secure, all of those things, and have access to all the features that we saw in the presentation last meeting. And so that's why I just wanted to make sure that I was clear. The project has certainly, the cost of it and the scope of it have grown from what we initially anticipated. We knew that we wanted a new city website. And then once we selected a vendor and started looking at their products, it seemed like an appropriate time to take both the Parks and Recreation website, which is a separate website, and bring it in, and do the same with TAEDC. And as far as the cost, TAEDC will pay for their portion out of their budget, and everything else will come out of the general fund budget. So if you would kind of amend this request, I'm actually, instead of the estimated 40,000, it's about 42,000 for the project budget. And then you're also authorizing the mayor to sign this statement of work and contract with Civic Plus.
I'd like to restate my motion to approve the project budget for the development of the new city website in an estimated amount of 42,000.
Mhm.
Authorize the mayor to sign a contract for the project and the annual maintenance with Civic Plus.
second.
And the second is by Alderman Blackwell. Okay, we've had a discussion. Is there any further discussion?
I have one quick comment. I think this is amazing. And it's much needed. The money, I think, was sticker shock to some people, but I do this. 42,000 is about right. My only comment would be, we are spending a lot of money on this. So a website is only as good as the content that goes into it. So I think that we need to look at, once it's up, some sort of, we need to make sure it's being used, some sort of accountability on that as far as what goes in there, and kind of a look down the road as to some sort of way to gauge and measure the effectiveness of how it's being used, when it's being used, the content that goes up there. But otherwise, I think this is much needed, much needed.
Alderman Berry, I'll make one additional comment about the website quality.
Yes.
and
I have
goodness of it depends on the extent to which it's maintained, and I think the discipline to maintain the capability that we have is something that we really need to pay attention to.
Yes, I have an additional, comment. I'm not going to say much about the price, because that really is Daniel's area of expertise. I'm not sure what a website like that would normally run. But I would say that I am concerned, do we really have the traffic right now, and what kind of major changes, that we could make? I mean, their presentation at the last board meeting was pretty fantastic, and lots of bells and whistles and things that they can do, but can we justify this, $42,000 with, if it was just the current traffic that we had right now through our websites? And my understanding is no, we couldn't. But if it's going to mean that there is more availability of resources on the website and more things that we can do with that website to be a central hub for citizens to be able to have electronic access to things that they do not currently have access, then I definitely can see maybe spending the money on this.
Especially, I think when we're talking about that, bringing TAEDC onto this website as well, how important that is in terms of economic recruitment and development in our area. So in my mind, yes, it's 40, and my husband's a software engineer. This is a good deal. So I looked at this and I'm like, hey, let's go. And also because with that minor investment, if we can bring in 2 more businesses into our town, worth it.
I have one question for Ms. Moody. Is planning and codes tied into this at all? They're in a city entity, so they should be under this umbrella as well, correct?
They are one of, I guess, to address everyone's comments, one of the things as far as tracking content and who's using our website and what they're using, there is a tool called Google Analytics that a lot of websites have. I know Alderman Berry's shaking his head. That's a feature. We don't have any analytics on our current websites, but we will have that ability with this new Civic Plus website. And they'll be able to tell us things like on our homepage, what's the most clicked item? When we look at that search engine, what words are they most frequently searching for? And what pages are most frequently visited? Those kind of things. So, and also we may be able to see where our users, our website users are coming from. So are they all coming from this Tullahoma area, or are they coming from a much larger region, or maybe other places in the country? Because we know, for instance, a lot of people from California are looking at Tennessee right now for relocating. So I am very excited to have those analytics. Those are what make a really user-friendly website, when we can take that information and the things that people are most searching for and put those one click away from them on our website. So we will be trying to do that. The other thing we were excited about in the presentation, I'm not sure he had time to cover all of these things, but this company has a number of modules that, interestingly, some of our other departments were already looking at. So they have an HR module that would allow us to put employment applications online and track them through a completely electronic process, something we don't have now. So HR was already looking at their product for that. The Parks and Recreation Department, there's one called Civic Rec that we could add on to this platform that would let them do online scheduling and memberships. And so I do see it, somebody used the word investment. I do see it as an investment. It's like a backbone infrastructure for us that we can have more, like you said, electronic records access, more online payments, more online forms, fillable forms that we haven't been able to create now. We'll start doing that with this project. So I'm very excited about the way that we should be able to expand our capabilities. And again, without necessarily needing more people, we're going to use technology to do things smarter.
I've worked with consulting with other municipalities, Civic Plus platform in several cities across the nation, and it's top notch. The tools are amazing. Like you said, it branches more than just the website and creates a whole integrated platform. I think it's extremely exciting. But I've also seen it where, and that's where I was talking about some sort of metrics to gauge what we're putting into it, because I've seen municipalities who spent that money, but then they just kind of let it sit. And I know that our team is excited about doing it, but I just want to make sure that it gets used by us internally. I know that people use it. We've all had those conversations. I mean, the ADA piece is exciting. I have trouble now on our site trying to find stuff, and I'm not bad at this. And so I think overall I would have charged more. So, and
We
it's a far better platform.
Contract yet? Don't say that.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's right. I mean, it's a top-notch platform.
Good.
May I ask one quick question about it too? And it's similar to what Alderman Berry was saying, is with like asset management of what we're putting up there. Like, I know that most websites, they're going to want stock photography and all of that. And I'm assuming we have that, or, I didn't, where does that?
We do. I'm going to let Winston Brooks speak to that. That was a project that he worked on.
Yay.
Hey, well, thank you, Jennifer. Yeah, so we do have some original photography that we've gotten recently of our staff with the, I think if y'all remember having your picture made in front of the flags. That was so that the pictures would all be consistent and high quality. And we have some tourism images. And yeah, we'll use a mix of stock imagery as well, but hopefully we can continue to build our original stock photos and have high quality photography to showcase the city. I know that's the case on the thinktullahoma.com site, so it would continue that way too. Any other questions?
I'd love to see us eventually get to their civic clerk and meeting and agenda management.
Yeah, so that'll be one of the first ones we take on, is the agenda management, and as well as the ADA compliance. And so that, like you said, got all the tools that we need to be an integrated platform. And one thing I've learned in the process is looking at it as buying a piece of software as opposed to a static website. So it's going to be changing and upgrading each year, and the fees that we have built in keep us up with tech so that we get the latest and greatest.
Okay.
That's all I've got for now, unless there are other questions.
I'm back, except without video.
Okay, I think I hear the mayor. It was a little difficult to hear you, Mayor.
We're back without video. It's not picking up my camera, but I am picking up audio, I think.
I couldn't.
The audio is not coming through clearly.
Perhaps pick up your phone and not use the speaker phone. One second.
Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
would you like to conduct this meeting?
I'll be happy to, Mayor.
I'll be happy to listen in.
So we have item number 2126, a motion on the floor, and also a second by Alderman Blackwell. Get Miss Rosemary to call the roll on this.
Okay, we're voting yes or no. Mayor?
This is on item 2126.
Yes.
Yes.
My vote is yes.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Blanks, yes or no?
Yes.
Alderperson Allmacher?
Yes.
Alderperson Barry,
Yes.
Alderperson Blackwell,
Yes.
Alderperson Dunn,
Yes.
Alderperson McGee.
Yes.
That is 7 yeses. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rosemary. The next item on the agenda, item number 2127. Consider authorizing the city administrator and the city attorney to negotiate towards the purchase of the 2.03 acres of real property at the intersection of Avoca Road and Riley Creek Road, Coffee County Tax Map 109, parcel 053.12. That's that area, that apex there where you come in from Avoca. I think there's a man in Manchester that owns that property and is wanting to put 4 houses in that corner. I think that's gone through the planning commission and was approved, I think, or not approved. So the mayor had spoken earlier. He got some emails and some of my other colleagues, I'm sure I have as well, heard from some people about the drainage situation in that area. So I entertain a motion to consider this.
Move to approve.
Second.
You can have it.
Any discussion?
Yes, I have some. So this area, I'm sure several of the aldermen have been called out to go and look at some of the issues. One of the very first things that I was called to do after I got elected was to go and visit Mr. Whitaker's property, who is at the end of Parkway. If you go all the way to the end of Parkway, and his driveway just completely just washes away, and there's a culvert there in the ditch that is, if a car or an individual were to fall off of it, they would have some serious injuries, and it's caused in part by the this area and all of the new subdivisions in the building, and it's just causing all of it to come down, slide down the hill and onto his property, and it washes out a portion of his property, and also takes out a big portion of the ditch there. And he just happens to kind of be right there at that slope where it hits very hard. And then he has called the city. He said that this is something that's been an ongoing thing for many years, and he's tried to get a resolution or some help with this. The city says it's the county's problem, and the county says it's the city's problem. And then I've also heard, after talking to Miss Moody about it, that it may have been a situation where it's one of those things that the homeowner just has to kind of deal with. But considering that it's our planning and developments that are causing these issues, I do feel like the city has some liability, and we need to come to a resolution and a partnership with the county in order to fix this area, because there is a lot of flooding issues that are causing destruction to property.
I wouldn't think that that development, Parkway, is further north, correct?
Yes.
And in my mind, Parkway shouldn't be affected by any of the drainage off of that whole development there, unless it's backing up.
I think it is, and then it's just where the slope is, where Parkway is, and then it slopes down, and then all the debris and stuff is backing up into the culverts, and you can just look at the trees and different, the limbs and all of that, and it's and so it's almost like dammed up, and then it backs up that hill there.
So I think I'm excited that this is on the agenda tonight. One of the things that I've heard so before being an alderman, I was on the planning commission for a bit, served with Alderman or Mayor Pro Tem Blanks. And I think that one of the things I heard all the time was about the flooding in Fairways, the flooding around Marbury, the concerns around the development that was happening there, and whether that was causing it, whether it was just an inordinate amount of rain, we weren't sure. But in my mind, We've also heard over and over again that there are safety concerns at that Y. We've seen it every day when we drive out there, I'm sure. So to me, this is a moment where we have an ability to go into hopefully a purchase to mitigate some rainfall and some stormwater issues, and to also look at improving the safety in that area, which I think is a big concern for us, especially as we look at an annexation out in behind there that will utilize those roadways to come into town. And something I would also love to see, which is, it might be a crazy idea, but as we build further out there, as there are annexations that come in, like that was proposed this last time at the Planning Commission meeting, this is almost like a gateway to the entrance back into town, if that makes sense. And it's a moment for our city to be able to own this property, and I think make it beautiful, and also help keep us safe and our citizens from floodwater. So that's all I have to say.
Anybody have any other comments?
Yeah, just real quick. I think this is a great idea as well. And related, but not related. I went and visited home on the 2100 block there on Avoca. And I'm going to send you an email with some pictures and stuff, Jennifer. I don't know what the fix is, but it's pretty awful right there in that. And I encourage all the aldermen to go kind of walk along, especially after a rain. Don't do it when it's dry. Walk there after a rain. I don't know if it's a city issue. I don't know what it is. But I know that the homeowners there are to the point they're going to start blocking up these pipes that are funneling water into their yards, which I've advised them probably don't do that. Talk to us first, but it's causing damage in some of these yards. I think this is a great first step, but I'd like to look at some short-term solutions to help, separate from this, to help some of these folks out.
Mrs. Moody?
I will just add first that the Planning Commission has not yet taken any action on this. It was a subdivision plat was presented to them, and they deferred or postponed to the next meeting, and had many, many questions that they were seeking more information about stormwater drainage and the traffic plan. And those questions were a little bit discussed at the last meeting, but the conversation was cut somewhat short because the applicant voluntarily postponed consideration of this plat until the March Planning Commission meeting, so that the city could have time to visit these negotiations with him. And so I think he is very willing to negotiate the sale with us. As I said, he had already planned to dedicate a very small amount of the property to the city so that we could do some traffic improvements. But those are near-term, today improvements that we need. There are many more improvements that we may need in the future. As I'm listening to you and also many of the residents out there, their concerns about flooding, probably my biggest concern is that some of our most developable land is in this area. And so when we look at our comprehensive growth plan, I'm sure what we're going to see is that there are many more developments that will come to this area, and potentially in the urban growth boundary just outside the city limits. We have one annexation request for just 15 acres, but that may be just the first of many acres that are requested to come into the city for development. So we do need to preserve some land so that we can have stormwater detention that benefits the entire region. And that's something that where we cannot always do something on individual properties to the benefit of that individual. We can do things that benefit the entire watershed or the entire region. So we can have public improvements to stormwater. The other thing, I just wanted for the public, I just wanted to share that I know last year we conducted the traffic study, and recommendations were given to us for improvements. The governor's local support grant that we received this year, we dedicated 125,000 of that money to go towards near-term safety improvements that we plan to construct in the spring when we do our spring paving. So I just wanted to say that I know it's a long time coming, but it'll only be a little bit longer, and we should see some traffic safety improvements out in that area. And this property, again, I thank you for your consideration, because I think that, initially he was going to give us 0.2 acres, so 2/10 of an acre. But if we could have the entire 2 acres, there's much more flexibility for the future and for other types of improvements that we can make out there.
Thank you, Ms. Moody. Does anybody else have any comments before we vote?
I would just like to say that I know that this stormwater program is clear that it's very important to the rest of this board as well. And I just, it's something that I feel like our infrastructure is the one thing that I think we can all agree on, that's what local government is supposed to be taking care of. And right now, the safety of our community is at risk. And I just want to reiterate the fact that Jim Patterson has a lot of information for us. And I would love for him to come out and talk to us about a better way to take care of our stormwater program.
Anybody else? All right, so we got a motion and a second. Ms. Rosemary, will you call the roll, please?
Yes, I have a quick question. Who, Blackwell made the motion, who seconded it? Sorry, I didn't catch who made the second.
I think that was Alderman McGee.
I did.
McGee, thank you. Okay, so we're voting yes or no on agenda item 21-27. Mayor Noes, yes or no?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Blanks.
Yes.
Alderperson Almacher.
Yes.
Alderperson Berry.
Yes.
Alderperson Blackwell.
Yes.
Alderperson Dunn.
Yes.
Alderperson McGee.
Yes.
Thank you. That's 7 yeses.
Next item on the agenda, number 21-28. Consider a request for $9,500 in additional funding to support the activities of the Tullahoma Arts Council. Can I get a motion on the floor?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Blackwell, seconded by Alderman Berry. We'll give you a little bit of background on this. Back during COVID planning and budget planning, we cut a lot of these things back because we didn't know what the tax revenue would be like and how that was going to play out. Usually, Tullahoma Arts Council gets $10,000, if I'm correct, Winston, and we appropriated only $500 to them this last year, and they're wanting to make that up. They have an art crawl that they're wanting to help support, and the watercolor exhibit they want to support, and also do some improvements to the outdoor theater, which is in the courtyard of South Jackson. This will also hopefully meet some COVID issues as far as getting close to each other. Hopefully COVID is going to be a thing in the past here in the near future, but I don't know how long we'll be under the 6 foot, the seating and all that. So an outdoor venue would help as opposed to indoor venue. So Winston, did I sort of cover that well enough from the Arts Council perspective?
Yeah, very well. That was correct.
I have a quick question. Their funding does or does not come out of tourism dollars?
Sue, I believe the answer is that it's a separate item,
Separate.
not come out of.
I would love to, as we enter the budget discussions, I'd love to, that's huge tourism. consider pulling some of the tourism money in for that. I think are using some tourism dollars in other places that maybe aren't as affected, but look at definitely coming out of that. What they do is huge. I mean, it's a huge deal. Arts and humanities are kind of not just the foundation of civilization, but it sets municipalities apart. And it brings in a lot of money, but it gets kind of put at the bottom most of the time because you don't think about it. That's it.
Also, I can add to that, under the motel tax, we do fund both South Jackson, the Fine Arts Center, Hands on Science, and some of the other organizations, but we do not, the Arts Council is just a part of the normal budget.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Anybody else have any comments?
I just wanted to clarify that this request is regarding our current budget. So they're asking ahead, this is different than what we'll propose in our next year budget for July 1. They're hoping to have these funds restored now.
Anything else? Or we,
Yes, I'm sorry, and this may be in our packet, but is there a specific reason why they want $9,500?
well, there was the three things: supporting the watercolor exhibit, also helping with the outdoor stage, and the third one, it was in the back, probably in the page 8. It was late in the agenda packet.
Right. Okay. I just wanted to get that out on the record for the public.
Okay.
The third item is an art crawl type of event that they're wanting to host.
And what an art crawl is, we did this a few years ago quite successfully when I was on, maybe I'd been on the Arts Council, I don't remember, but we had different artists in different downtown locations, one at the Chamber, one at Couches, one at Clayton's, and one at the Exchange. All these different businesses would host an artist, and then we would go around and have mixers and different things and look at the art.
Really like that idea.
And hopefully buy stuff while they're there in the shops too. So
that's where I was introduced to Jim House's work, a local watercolor artist that is superb. He was at I think he was at Clayton's, but a worthwhile thing. And I think if we can get the art crawls going every summer or fall, that would be a neat thing. So anybody else have any other comments? If not, we'll call the question. Miss Rosemary?
Yes, we're voting on item number 20-28. Yes or no, Mayor Noes. Mayor Pro Tem Blanks.
Yes.
Alderperson Almacher.
Yes.
Alderperson Berry.
Yes.
Alderperson Blackwell.
yes.
Alderperson Dunn.
Yes.
Alderperson McGee.
Yes.
That's 7 yeses. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Rosemary. Do we have any other new business not listed on the agenda that come up in the last few minutes? If not, we'll adjourn the regular meeting of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen and go straight henceforth into the beer board. Do we have any public comments about the beer board or the business of the beer board? Hearing and seeing none, we'll go on into the consent agenda. We only have one item under the consent agenda. It's item number 21-BB08, the minutes of the February 8th, 2021 beer board regular meeting.
Move to approve. Oh,
Second.
I think that was a dual move. Blackwell and Berry, and second, we'll do movement by Alderman Blackwell and seconded by Alderman McGee. Any changes, discussions about the minutes? Well, Miss Rosemary.
Sorry. To approve the beer board consent agenda. Mayor Noes, yes or no?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Blanks.
Yes.
Alderperson Amacher.
Yes.
Alderperson Barry.
Yes.
Alderperson Blackwell.
Yes.
Alderperson Dunn.
Yes.
Alderperson McGee.
Yes.
That's 7 yeses. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Rosemary. Seeing that we have no other old business, is there any other new business on the beer board? Seeing none, I move to adjourn the meeting. Click, click.
Thank you for stepping in.
Alderman Blanks for handling that.
No problem.
Bye. You all have a good evening.
Good night,
Bye,
everyone.
y'all.
Winston, you're still on. I think we have some IT work to do in the morning.
Good night.
Good night.
We'll see y'all soon. Take care.
Good night.
Good night.